It is an absolute pleasure to welcome in for the first time on Winnipeg Sports Talk, Blue Bomber star and still reigning Grey Cup champion, Andrew Harris. What's going on, boss? Great to have you on the program.
Thanks for having me. I'm loving that background on the back. It's that they overkilled a little bit on the confetti. I think it was there was almost too much. You couldn't even see. You're choking on it, but it was a great day. That's for
Well,
sure.
there was. It had been waiting for a while. The blue and gold confetti had been building up for a while, so we had a lot to blow off, and I figured that would be a perfect background to bring in you as we look forward to seeing you and your teammates getting back on the field. First off, I mean, this has been the longest off season ever. You come off one of your greatest achievements and victories in a pretty incredible career, and now we're more than 12 months removed from holding up that trophy. How you been, and what have you been doing?
Yeah, it's been a long. I think we're up almost at 16 months, 17 months since we played, and I mean for me it was a tough summer this summer, and just going through usually training and leading up to training camp and usually getting used to being around the guys again, and having that kind of taken away from you was definitely a tough pill to swallow. And going through just what do I do next? So I've always been doing some sort of business ventures off the field, and working on trying to establish myself for life after football. And for me, things were kind of slow. COVID was hitting. I actually got into the car business, and I'm doing some sales consulting for some other different companies, and I'm doing some real estate development as well right now. So I got my hands in a few different things, and just working down here at Midtown Ford right now, and do some construction sales, and do sales for one of my friends' commercial cleaning companies as well. So I got my hands in a few different things. And DJ the Llama, he plays for the Montreal Alouettes, good friend and ex teammate of mine. We started Pro Prep Academy, where we help young athletes evolve their game on and off the field, whether it's tutoring, strength conditioning, sports psychology, nutritional side of things. Then we have a team of doctors and physiotherapists and massage therapists and chiropractors to help keep their bodies nice and right. So that's been keeping me really busy, and kind of motivating myself while I'm not being around the football field and bring on the guys. But it's definitely been a weird year for a lot of people, and especially after coming off such a great high.
No doubt about it. Andrew Harris with us here on Winnipeg Sports Talk. Now, I'm not surprised at all that you've got your hands in a number of different kettles. And this part of it, I'm sure, was part of the attraction to come back to play with the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. I mean, arguably the most impactful free agent signing in the history of the football club, and that's a long history. I imagine as much as you believed in the direction the Bombers were going and the people that were running the football club, and knowing how amazing it would be if you were a centerpiece of a championship team in your hometown, the ability to continue to sort of grow your brand and build for life after football in Winnipeg, I'm sure was part of the reason why it made sense to become a Blue Bomber in the first place.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the biggest draw for me, number one, was my daughter. She just turned 13 this past January. So, being back here for the last 4 or 5 years has been instrumental in our relationship and just being a father as a whole. Any athlete that spends 6 months, or any person that spends 6 months away from their child, back and forth, it definitely puts a lot of strain on their development, and yourself as a parent just being away from for so long. So that was a big deciding factor for me. And then too, yeah, I figured that there'd be lots of opportunities off the field to grow, and just on a business standpoint, and just grow financially. I know football is a young man's game, and I'll be turning 34 in April here, so that time is ticking, and I want to be able to transition into what's after without having to kind of start from the bottom again, and just transition into the business world seamlessly. So that was very important for me.
You mentioned your age, and I mean, age is a number in a lot of ways. However, I mean, you look at your career, the amount of carries, the amount of yards, everything that you've done in the CFL, that takes a toll. How are you feeling right now? Because I imagine you've gone the longest without getting hit in a long time. I mean, how are you feeling right now going through this last year and looking ahead to hopefully getting back on the field soon?
Yeah, I mean, the biggest thing for me is I usually play a lot of men's league hockey and basketball, so not being able to do that I'm probably not as in good a shape as I've been, but now that things are opening up again, and I've been heading back to the stadium and going to work out, I feel like after a couple of workouts, you come right back, and that muscle memory is right there. So there might be a couple extra pounds that I might have to shut off, but I think everyone's going to be in that same boat. So it was funny. We did a workout today with a bunch of young athletes from the age from 12 to 17, and some of them are about this close to puking. So I mean, for us, as professional athletes, that's definitely going to be there, and there's going to be some growing pains as far as getting back into shape. But having this long off is definitely allows the body a chance to heal. But after the season 2019, I always want to say last year, I was so jacked up, and after having my 2-week break there, which was unexpected, but I felt like I was ready to go play a few more games. So if I was able to kind of keep going, and if there was a Canadian Arena League or something like that, I probably would have played in that too. So my body's feeling great, and the biggest thing is my mind's even better, right? After a while, playing a lot of years, I talked to a lot of veterans that said, when you play for so long, you kind of lose the passion and the fire to keep on going. And I'm really just excited to get out there with the guys again, and looking forward to trying to get into the Grey Cup with a great group of guys, great set of coaching staff, or great set of coaches, and do it again for this wonderful city.
Andrew Harris of the Blue Bombers with us here on Winnipeg Sports Talk. Now, Andrew, before we talk about the upcoming season and what's next, you mentioned that you and DJ Lalama have done this Pro Prep Academy, and not being someone without kids, I've thought a lot about this. As we were just talking with Billick about the upcoming draft and about scouting NFL, who's going to be in the NHL draft next year, and what these kids have been going through, and the scouts having the issues with scouting them. The kids that you're working with, 12 to 17-year-olds, probably pretty high-end athletes that have, for all intents and purposes, been shut down for a year. What have you seen from these kids? From kids that were like us a long time ago, but have dealt with a global pandemic that no one was prepared for. How has it affected them, and what are you seeing from the young boys and girls that are coming out trying to continue to train through you guys and trying to make the most of these incredible challenges that everyone's going through?
Yeah, first off, I couldn't imagine going through grade 11 or grade 12. Or high school at all without having any sports. That'd be, sports was so instrumental of my young life, and keeping me kind of the straight and narrow, even though I veered off at times. But it just when you're so used to that routine and having something to look forward to, and there's lots of students that are really just hoping to get a scholarship and moving on after high school. So when you don't have any film, you don't have any tape on, or your resume kind of gets cut short a year. And the other side of that is a lot of people don't really blossom until that last year at grade 12. So a lot of people are really just focusing on maybe their old tape or their old footage that they have, and they don't get that extra year to develop. So there's so many different levels of how it can hurt and impact a high school student or even a young person kind of going into high school, because they have that year that didn't get to develop. So definitely tough. But one thing that me and DJ and our team have done is done a lot of virtual settings or sessions. We had Desiree Scott working with our soccer side, and working in the 5x5 space in their basement or in their rooms. We did a lot of mental health sessions with Dr. Toogood. She was instrumental in helping me out, through my trials and tribulations, throughout my career, and kind of getting my head and my mind right. And that's a side that I definitely took, I thought as underrated and didn't really take too seriously, is the mental health and having the proper mindset. I know a lot of people say the game's 90% mental or 80% mental and the rest is physical, but I kind of took that for granted, and it's definitely a big part of your performance and how you look at the game and how you attack the game. So that was one angle that we really focused on, is making sure that we talk about mental health and all the different things that these young athletes are going through. And even the ones that are, kind of in university and junior that are kind of moving on to try to make the jump to the CFL or to go to university, they're in that same boat too. So, everyone, is going through their struggles and we tried to find a way to reach each one of them and help them get better. Whether it was focusing on their nutrition, focusing on their mental health, focusing on the small little details that they can get better within their household, or the resources that they had. So for us, I think we definitely were able to impact, a number of athletes, and we're looking forward to. We announced that we're doing the spring flag football league this year for all the high school students. So we're going to be able to film all those sessions and all those games. So I know it's not real tackle football, but as a DB, as a receiver, as a quarterback, you're still able to highlight yourself, highlighting the best offense. And so we'll have a high school, junior varsity, and varsity league, and our division, and then we'll have a junior and college division as well. So we're still able to offer these kids an opportunity to highlight their skills and then put on the ground to scale. And we're gonna have streaming services and be able to put up their highlight tapes. So we're really excited about having that opportunity to still offer sports in our
phenomenal. And these young players, I know they're just looking for any opportunities to both play and show what they can do. Andrew Harris is with us. Well, I've got to ask you, it was a pretty crazy weekend for anyone that was following the Canadian Football League last week with the announcement that the league and the XFL were going into discussions. I don't know how much anyone can really say on it because there's not a lot of concrete details on what this is or what this might mean. But, as a Canadian player that also just went through a year of not playing, because we know what the pandemic has done to so many businesses, but I think it's safe to say that the Canadian Football League's finances are not in a great spot. We realize that these conversations don't happen if it's not somewhat serious. What was your initial reaction to this? Did it totally catch you off guard? And is it something that you think might be a real positive for the future of football in Canada? Or as a Canadian player, is it something that is not a good thing? Or do you know right now?
When I first heard the news, I was kind of shocked and awed, and wasn't really a big fan of it. And but now that I think about it more, it's an opportunity for us to get back and back on the field. And I just don't hope. I hope it doesn't take or change the integrity of the CFL. And that's the one thing that kind of worries me a little bit is maybe the potential rule changes, or the different things that might happen to the great game that we all love. It was funny, actually. I after the news came out, I was just kind of flicking through the channels, and I saw the 30 for 30 for the XFL, or this was the XFL. Yeah. And that was the original Vince McMahon and Ebersol, and just the gong show that was in the first year, and how there was all this hype around it, and all the rule changes and things that they thought were going to happen, and how it all kind of played out. So obviously that's not the same ownership and mindset that we're going for now. But this is a league that's been around twice now and failed. And we're the longest football running league in North America, in the world. And again, there's a lot of diehard fans and diehard players that really hold true to the integrity of our game and love our game. And when that's threatened to be potentially changed, and I think that's going to scare a lot of people and push a lot of people out of potentially wanting to play this game or even watch this game. But if it's going to get us back on the field and help our league in some way, there just has to be some sort of synergy that works for both sides. And I hope that we can kind of figure that out. And again, any time I can think of just getting us back and playing in front of our fans and doing the great things that we love to do, I'm always gonna listen and have some sort of optimism towards it.
Andrew, your career in the Canadian Football League is one of the greatest, regardless of passports. But you are a Canadian player. I think we've seen, what you've done for the last 10 plus years, and know that, it doesn't matter what country you come from. If given the opportunity, you would have been a star in this league. But I do want to ask you, thinking back to getting your start, playing junior football, going to BC, and then coming to Winnipeg, how much did the Canadian rules, in your opinion, for the league help you get your opportunity? And if they didn't have that same ratio and not, do you think that you would have been given that opportunity over maybe some American players that might have better tape or what, or a bigger school or whatever?
Absolutely. I think both-sided here. Being a Canadian running back from a junior program hurt me at first. Because Wally Buono was like, oh, we're not going to start a Canadian running back, let alone a junior Canadian running back. But as I kept coming back to camp, I kept showing out well. But the only reason I was going to camp is because I was a Canadian and a junior player, was a non-counter. So, it was kind of a double-edged sword there where, I wouldn't have the opportunity to go and play and become get on a CFL roster. And even in those times that, at camp, they put me at receiver, at safety. They had me running around a little bit. But after 2-3 years, going back and showing well, I got an opportunity. But yeah, I don't think without a ratio, without maybe the junior exemption rule, I don't think I'd be, making the all-decade team or leading the, having leading the Canadians in rushing or yards from scrimmage. Absolutely not. So I mean, these rules and these things, which deterrent sometimes, are definitely ways to get us Canadians opportunities. And if you take that out, they're not looking at a Canadian junior football player from Nanaimo or Vancouver Island Raiders when they, there's a dime a dozen, throughout the states that they can go choose from. So, I definitely think that, yes, I blossomed into a great role and into, a lot of years of hard work and blossoming as a young player. But I don't think I would have those same opportunities, have be it that, there wasn't that the exemption rule or if there wasn't a ratio. But I mean, I remember Wally saying to us, he's like, well, if we start a Canadian, we have to have a Canadian backup. And that in itself, when there's only one player on the field, one running back, on the field, it's hard to find that Canadian backup that can come in and there's not that big drop off, right? When you play receiver or line, there's 4 or 5 other guys that are out there that you can kind of, mix guys in, and there's just a lot more bodies. So, when there's the one guy, the same thing with a quarterback. If you have a Canadian quarterback and, before they kind of made that rule change, you have to have another guy to come in or else your ratio is messed up. So the running back is definitely a tricky position in the Canadian game. And without the rule changes, without the ratio and the exemption rules, I definitely wouldn't be where I'm at today. So I definitely appreciate that, and hopefully that integrity and those pieces of the game kind of stay the same.
On the same side of things, though, and we talked about this with Naylor the other day, in that, Andrew, it seems like the talent of the Canadian athletes is getting better and better all the time. And we saw Chase Claypool light it up for the Steelers last year, Joe down at Clemson. I mean, you can go down the list of a lot of top, now NCAA talent that, might even be getting NFL looks is happening. How different is that? And a big part of it, I think, is the training programs like you guys have going on right now. How far ahead are we as far as training our Canadian athletes to prepare them for opportunities that might come up where the passport is irrelevant?
Yeah, I think in the last 10 years, for sure, our sports science has gone through the roof, and there's been a lot more money infused into development of the players, and the opportunities are there too. So I think that the players are much more developed than they were when I was coming out of high school and even years before that. And there's the names are the names of the list of names is long, and we keep on developing these great athletes over time, year after year. So I think as time goes on and we gain more respect, and the guys like Chase Claypool, the Hubbard that's coming out of OSU. I think he's going to be a great player in the NFL. He's an amazing running back that's was on pace to do great things and just got held back from injury. But there's lots of great young athletes that are coming out and putting some respect on the Canadian name, and then which is awesome. And anytime you see a young Canadian playing the NFL, it definitely puts a smile on my face.
Andrew Harris with us here on Winnipeg Sports Talk, and it's been a great chat. Focusing on right now, you've got your hands in all these different things you've been doing through this time, but there will be a time, hopefully very soon, to get back to work. If you talk to your teammates and, just when you're working out, I mean, how hot is that fire burning to get back out there at IG Field in front of fans, raise that damn Grey Cup banner and go and try and run it back?
I mean, I don't know if you obviously know Yoshi Hardrick, but anytime you get on the phone with him, period, it's always an intense conversation. But you start talking football and you almost have to hold the phone back here because he's screaming and yelling and going nuts. So, yeah, there's lots of guys who are definitely excited and chomping at the bit and to get back at it. And I think the biggest thing is just being in front of our fans. I mean, I was talking to Nick from Nicolinos. I know you know him well too, and he was so excited about the unveiling of the flag, and he's like, I'm just so pissed off that we got robbed from that. Just the 2020. Having the fans in the stands, and when you kind of think about that and put that in perspective, and how great of a day that would have been. Right after doing it the year after would have been an amazing spectacle to be a part of. But we're going to get there soon, and with the vaccines rolling out and the numbers going down, I think that the end is near with this, and hopefully we can get back on the field sooner or later.
Oh, hey, dude, I'll tell you one thing. I mean, that place, and even if it's 50% fans, I don't know what the situation will be in with how many people you can get in, but even if it is half the building, not only will it be an incredible celebration of the 2019 Grey Cup champs and ending that drought and finally people in blue and gold getting to come together to celebrate it, but I think it will also be incredibly special for any football fan, and the party would have been going off even if the team was 2-16 the year before, just because, you know what, fans, they love, I mean, sports is one thing that absolutely brings communities together. We saw it like we haven't seen in a long, long time. I mean, to me, the Bombers winning the Grey Cup in 2019, the Jets playoff run in 17-18, and the Jets coming back to Winnipeg in 2011, three of the most significant, events for our community, not just sports. So I'll tell you what, when the green light is given, Bomber fans will be ready to go. They'll feel like they will come to that game like you guys went into McMahon Stadium to blow out the Ticats in the Grey Cup. And don't worry about the celebration. Will get every ounce that it deserves, and maybe even more because of what we've been through, having to wait to celebrate what you guys were able to do.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I've been a part of the whiteout parties and the parade, and I was part of coming out of that tunnel. So that's a lot of energy, that's a lot of excitement, and that's a lot of drinks being drinking. So I'm looking forward to continuing the party and the excitement, and just being a part of something special in this province and in this city. And that's one of the reasons why I came back, and definitely a lot of pride of being part of this and being instrumental and a leader on this team and in this community. So lots of excitement and just looking forward to it.
Well, dude, it's certainly a big reason why we wanted you to be the first Winnipeg Blue Bomber to join us on the new chapter here on Winnipeg Sports Talk. It was always great talking to you back on Pembina Highway, and I'm sure this will be the first of many, many convos we have here on the new program. Andrew, thanks so much for taking the time. Continued success. Be well, be healthy, and can't wait to see you back in number 33, getting into the end zone with that rock coming up in a few months.
Absolutely. Thanks a lot for having me, and congratulations on the new show, and all the best of luck to you as well. I'm sure you'll to be doing lots of great things, and like you already have been. And again, just congrats, and we'll see you soon. Okay.
Cheers, Andrew. Thanks so much for doing this. There he is, the MVP of the Grey Cup, the outstanding Canadian. We don't have enough time before we got to get this pod up to go down all of Andrew Harris's incredible accolades, but we kind of figured that, if there was anyone we wanted to bring on to start off, an athlete segment on this program, with it being Winnipeg Sports Talk, is one of the greatest Winnipeg's ever produced, Andrew Harris, who, of course, I still maintain the most significant free agent signing the Winnipeg Blue Bombers have ever made. And, now a Grey Cup champ that helped end that drought that we spent far too long talking about. But it was real. But you know what else is real? The Bombers are going to defend that Grey Cup, hopefully in a few months at IG Field. And as he mentioned, we've got to get these shots coming on and get some vaccines rolled out. But hopefully many of us will be able to be there and be a part of it. Great stuff from Andrew Harris.